My sister stole my wedding venue. She sent threats to stop my marriage. I found a photo with our faces scratched out, and then I heard her plan. My name's Claire. I'm 32, living in Seattle, and planning the wedding of my dreams with my fiancé, Emily. We've been together for 3 years, and I've never been happier. Emily's got this warm, infectious laugh that lights up any room. We booked a stunning vineyard in Napa Valley for our big day, a place we fell in love with the moment we saw it. Everything was perfect, until my sister Sarah showed up at my doorstep last month, unannounced, with a look in her eyes that screamed trouble. It was a rainy Tuesday evening. I was sipping coffee, going over seating charts, when the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Sarah, her arms crossed, her face twisted in that familiar entitled scowl. Before I could even say hello, she launched into a rant. "Claire, you need to give me the vineyard for my wedding," she demanded, her voice sharp. I blinked, stunned. "What are you talking about? My wedding's in 3 months. It's booked." But Sarah wasn't listening. She pushed past me into my living room, pacing like she owned the place. "Your marriage isn't even real," she spat, her words slicing through me. "2 women? Come on, Claire. It's not the same as a real wedding, like mine with Jake." My stomach twisted. I've known Sarah's always been judgmental about my relationship with Emily, but this was a new low. Her voice dripped with venom as she went on, saying my wedding would embarrass the family. She even took a jab at Emily's background, sneering that her kind always causes drama. I felt my face burn with anger, but I held it together. Barely. "Sarah, get out," I said, my voice low but firm. "The vineyard's mine. Emily and I paid the deposit. Find your own venue." Her eyes narrowed and she stepped closer, pointing a finger at me. "You're so selfish, Claire. Always have been. You don't get to hog the spotlight just because you're older." I couldn't believe her nerve. She wasn't even engaged when I booked the place. But Sarah's always been like this, spoiled, manipulative, and used to getting her way. She kept going, her voice rising. "You're making a mistake. You'll regret this." I pointed to the door, my heart pounding. "Leave. Now," she huffed, tossing her hair, and stormed out, but not before shouting, "This isn't over." The door slammed behind her, and I stood there, shaking. Emily came in from the kitchen, her eyes wide with worry. "What was that about?" she asked. I told her everything, my voice cracking as I repeated Sarah's cruel words. Emily hugged me, her arms steadying me, but I could see the hurt in her eyes too. That night, I couldn't sleep. Sarah's words echoed in my head, her disgust, her entitlement. I knew she wouldn't let this go. She's been pulling stunts like this since we were kids, always playing the victim to get what she wants. But this was my wedding, my moment with Emily. No way was I letting her ruin it. Still, a knot of dread settled in my chest. I had a feeling this was just the beginning. After Sarah stormed out, I couldn't shake the memories her outburst dragged up. Sarah's always been the golden child, the baby of the family who gets whatever she wants. It's been that way since we were kids in Seattle, and one incident still burns in my mind. 5 years ago, I was 27, juggling 2 part-time jobs while finishing my degree at the University of Washington. I'd saved every penny for months to buy my first car, a used Toyota Corolla. Nothing fancy, but reliable. It was parked in the driveway of my old apartment, gleaming under the streetlights. I was so proud. It was mine, earned through late-night shifts and skipped coffee runs. Sarah, barely 20 then, showed up the day I brought it home. She didn't ask to see it or congratulate me. No, she just waltzed up, ran her hand along the hood, and said, "This is so cute, Claire. Can I take it to Bellevue Square tonight?" I laughed, thinking she was joking, but her face hardened, lips pursing like a kid denied a toy. "I'm serious," she snapped. "It's not fair you get a car and I don't." I explained I needed it for work and school, that I'd scraped together every dollar for it. She didn't care. She crossed her arms, pouting, and said, "You always get everything first." That night, she ran to our parents, John and Mary, in Portland. I got a call from Mom the next day. Her voice was calm but firm, the kind that made my stomach sink. "Claire, we know the car's yours," she started, "but it'd really help us if you shared it with Sarah. She's still figuring things out." I was floored. I told her I needed the car to get to my job at the coffee shop. Dad jumped in, saying, "You're older. You'll have more chances to save. Sarah's just starting out." They even offered to cover the insurance if I let her drive it. It felt like a bribe, not a solution. I didn't want to give in, but I felt cornered. Sarah started using my Corolla like it was hers, driving to parties, leaving empty coffee cups in the seats, never once saying thank you. One time, she scratched the bumper and shrugged it off, saying, "It's just a car, Claire. Chill." When I complained to Mom, she sighed and said I was being too sensitive. Dad told me to stop making a fuss, that family shares. I felt like the selfish one for wanting to keep what I'd worked so hard for. It stung, knowing they'd always take her side. That car fiasco set the tone for Sarah's entitlement. She'd throw tantrums, and our parents would bend over backward to appease her. Now, with my wedding to Emily on the line, it was the same old story. Sarah wanted my vineyard in Napa Valley, and I knew she'd pull every trick to get it. Her words from that night echoed, calling my marriage not real, mocking Emily. It wasn't just about the venue. It was about her need to control, to make me feel small. I sat on my couch staring at the rain streaking down the window, my heart heavy. Emily squeezed my hand, her voice soft. "We're not letting her win this time," she said. I nodded, but deep down I braced myself. Sarah wasn't done. She never was. A few days after Sarah's outburst at my house, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Dinner at our place in Portland this weekend, 6 p.m. Don't be late." Her tone was clipped, the kind that made my gut twist. I knew this wasn't just a family meal. Emily raised an eyebrow when I showed her the message. "You sure you want to go?" she asked, her voice soft but wary. I sighed, rubbing my temples. I have to. If I don't, they'll say I'm dodging them. So I agreed, hoping maybe, just maybe, we could talk this out like adults. That Saturday, I drove the 2 hours from Seattle to Portland, the rain pounding my windshield like it was trying to warn me. Mom and Dad's house was the same as always, neat lawn, white picket fence, the kind of place that screamed normalcy. Inside, the air felt heavy. Sarah was there, sitting at the dining table with a smug smile, her fiancé Jake beside her. Mom served roasted chicken, but the meal was tense, forks clinking against plates in near silence. I barely touched my food, waiting for the shoe to drop. After dessert, Mom cleared her throat, her eyes fixed on me. Claire, we need to talk about the vineyard. My heart sank. Here it was. Sarah told us she and Jake are struggling to find a venue, she said, her voice calm but pointed. The Napa Valley vineyard you booked would be perfect for them. I stared, my fork frozen midair. Mom, that's my venue. Emily and I booked it a year ago. It's for our wedding. Dad leaned forward, his brow furrowed. Claire, their wedding is traditional. It's a big deal for the family. The word traditional hit me like a slap. I set my fork down, my hands trembling. What's that supposed to mean? I asked, my voice low. Mom sighed like I was being difficult. You know what we mean, Claire. A wedding between a man and a woman, it's what people expect. It's what matters to the family. My chest tightened, anger bubbling up. I glanced at Sarah, who was smirking, stirring her coffee like she was enjoying the show. Jake just looked at his plate, avoiding my eyes. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. So, my wedding doesn't matter because it's with Emily? I asked, my voice shaking. Dad shook his head. It's not that, Claire, but Sarah's younger. She deserves her moment. You've had your time to shine. My time to shine? I was 32, planning my first wedding, and they were acting like I was stealing something from Sarah. I've been planning this for a year, I said, my voice rising. We paid $5,000 for the deposit, non-refundable. I'm not giving it up. Mom's face hardened. Claire, don't be selfish. Sarah's wedding is important to us. You could find another place. Sarah finally spoke up, her tone dripping with fake sweetness. Yeah, Claire, there are tons of venues. You don't need the vineyard. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stood, my chair scraping the floor. This is unbelievable. You're all saying my marriage is less important because I'm marrying a woman. That's what this is about, isn't it? The room went silent. Mom's lips pressed into a thin line. Dad looked away, his jaw tight. Sarah just shrugged, like it was no big deal. I'm not giving up the vineyard, I said, my voice steady now. Emily and I deserve our day, and if you can't support that, I don't know what we're doing here. I grabbed my coat and walked out, the door slamming behind me. The drive back to Seattle was a blur, my hands gripping the wheel, tears stinging my eyes. I'd always known my parents weren't thrilled about my relationship with Emily, but hearing them say it out loud, prioritizing Sarah's traditional wedding over mine, cut deeper than I expected. I called Emily when I got home, her voice a lifeline. We're doing this, Claire, she said, no matter what they say. But as I hung up, a chill ran through me. I knew Sarah wasn't done yet. A week after that disastrous dinner in Portland, I was trying to focus on wedding plans with Emily. We were in our Seattle apartment, surrounded by fabric swatches and guest lists, when my phone rang. It was our wedding planner, Karen, her voice shaky. Claire, did you cancel the Napa Valley vineyard? My heart stopped. What? No, of course not, I said, my pulse racing. Karen sounded frantic. Someone called this morning, pretending to be you. They canceled the booking. I only caught it because I double-checked the paperwork. I felt a surge of fury, my hands trembling as I gripped the phone. There was only one person petty enough to pull this. I thanked Karen, told her to reinstate the booking, and hung up. Emily looked at me, her eyes wide. What's wrong? She asked. I could barely get the words out. Sarah tried to cancel our venue. Emily's face fell, but she nodded, her jaw tight. Call her, she said. Now. I dialed Sarah's number, my anger boiling over. She picked up on the second ring, her voice all fake cheer. Hey Claire, what's up? I didn't waste time. Did you call the vineyard and cancel my wedding? I asked, my voice cold. There was a pause, then a laugh. A laugh. Oh, come on, Claire, Sarah said, like it was nothing. It was just a prank. You didn't need that venue anyway. My blood ran hot. A prank? I snapped. You committed fraud, Sarah. We lost our $5,000 deposit because of you. She laughed again, unbothered. Relax. You and Emily can find another place. I had to book mine fast, so I figured you could too. I couldn't believe her nerve. She wasn't even sorry. You're unbelievable, I said, my voice shaking with rage. You don't get to mess with my life like this. Sarah's tone shifted, sharp and biting. You're the one making this a big deal, Claire. You always overreact. Just let me have the vineyard and we're good. I clenched my fist, my nails digging into my palm. No, and you're not invited to the wedding anymore. There was a long silence. Then she scoffed. You're serious? Over a venue? You're so dramatic. I hung up, my heart pounding. I wasn't letting her twist this around on me. I called the vineyard immediately. Thank God Karen had already explained the situation, and they reinstated the booking. They even waived the rebooking fee, saying they'd dealt with family drama before, but the damage was done. Sarah had crossed a line, and I was done playing nice. Emily sat beside me, her hand on my knee. You did the right thing, she said, her voice steady. She can't keep doing this to you. I nodded, but my stomach churned. Uninviting Sarah felt final, like cutting a thread I'd been clinging to for years. That night, I couldn't sleep. Sarah's laugh kept echoing in my head, her casual dismissal of what she'd done. It wasn't just about the venue. It was her need to control me, to make my happiness less important than hers. I thought about all the times I'd let her get away with it, sharing my car, biting my tongue when she threw tantrums. Not this time. This was my wedding, my life with Emily. I wasn't letting her ruin it, but I knew Sarah too well. She wouldn't stop here. She'd always been the type to escalate, to push until she got her way. I stared at the ceiling, the weight of it all pressing down on me. Emily rolled over, her arm wrapping around me. We're getting married, Claire, she whispered. No one's taking that from us. I held her close, her warmth grounding me, but deep down I braced myself. Sarah's prank was just the start. I had no idea what she'd try next, but I was ready to fight for our day. The days after uninviting Sarah were a whirlwind. My phone lit up with voicemails voicemails from my parents, John and Mary, their voices dripping with disappointment. "Claire, you're blowing this out of proportion," Mom said in one message, her tone sharp. "It was just a prank. Apologize to Sarah." Dad's was worse. "You're tearing this family apart over a venue. Be reasonable." I deleted them, my hands shaking. They didn't even mention Sarah's fraud or her cruel words about my relationship with Emily. It was like I was the villain for standing my ground. Then came the text from Mom. "You're making us look bad, Claire. Fix this." I stared at the screen, my chest tight. Fix this? They were the ones backing Sarah's tantrum, dismissing my wedding like it was a sideshow. Emily caught me staring at my phone and gently took it away. "Don't let them get to you," she said, her voice steady. But it wasn't just them. The family group chat was buzzing and I wasn't even in it anymore. I had a sinking feeling Sarah was up to something worse. A few days later, my cousin Katie called. We weren't super close, but she'd always been kind, one of the few who didn't judge me for being with Emily. Her voice was hesitant. "Claire, I don't want to stir things up, but you need to know what Sarah's saying." My stomach dropped. "What now?" I asked, bracing myself. Katie sighed. "She's telling everyone you uninvited her because you're jealous of her wedding. She says you can't handle that her marriage to Jake is traditional and more important to the family." I felt like I'd been punched. Jealous? Sarah was the one who tried to steal my venue. Katie kept going. "She's spinning it like you're causing drama, saying you're selfish for not sharing the vineyard. Some aunts and uncles are buying it. A few even said they might skip your wedding to avoid taking sides." My heart sank. My own family, turning against me because of Sarah's lies. "Did she mention she canceled my booking?" I asked, my voice tight. Katie paused. "No, she left that part out." Of course she did. I thanked Katie and hung up, my mind racing. Sarah wasn't just fighting for the vineyard, she was trying to ruin my reputation. I told Emily everything, my voice breaking. She hugged me, her arms warm and steady. "We don't need them, Claire," she said. "We have people who love us." But the hurt lingered. My family was choosing Sarah's lies over me, all because my wedding didn't fit their idea of normal. Then things got scarier. Emily came home from work one evening, her face pale. "Check my phone," she said, handing it to me. There were 3 texts from an unknown number. "Cancel your wedding or you'll regret it," the first read. The second was worse. "You don't want to know what happens if you don't back off." The third was a threat. "This marriage won't happen. Watch your back." My hands shook as I read them. Emily's voice was quiet. "They started this morning. I reported them to my boss, but the numbers keep changing. Probably burners." I felt sick. "This has to be Sarah," I said, my voice barely a whisper. Emily nodded, but her eyes were wide with fear. "What if it's not just her?" she asked. I pulled her close, my heart pounding. "We're not canceling," I said firmly. "We'll hire security for the wedding. No one's stopping us." But as I held her, a chill ran through me. Sarah's lies were one thing, but these threats, they were on another level. I didn't know how far she'd go, but I wasn't backing down. A week before the wedding, I was trying to focus on the final details: flowers, vows, the little things that made our day special. But the threats and Sarah's lies had me on edge. Emily and I were in our Seattle apartment, folding napkins for the reception, when the doorbell rang. My stomach dropped. I opened the door to find Sarah and Mom standing there, their faces hard. They didn't wait for an invitation, pushing past me into the living room like they owned it. I should have known better than to let them in, but I didn't want a scene on my porch. Mom didn't waste time. She stood in the middle of the room, hands on her hips. "Claire, you need to cancel this wedding," she said, her voice cold. "It's embarrassing for the family." My jaw dropped. I glanced at Sarah, who was smirking, arms crossed, soaking it all in. "Embarrassing?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "You're standing in my home, telling me my marriage to Emily is an embarrassment?" Mom's eyes narrowed. "Do you know what people will say? A lesbian wedding? It's not right, Claire. It's not what we raised you for." I felt like I'd been slapped. My own mother, saying my love for Emily was wrong. Sarah chimed in, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Yeah, Claire, you're making us all look bad. Just call it off. You can still be with Emily, but don't make it a spectacle." A spectacle? My wedding was a celebration, not a circus. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. "This is my life," I said, my voice low but firm. "Emily and I are getting married. If you can't support that, you don't belong there." Mom exploded. "You're so ungrateful," she shouted, her face red. "You're ruining Sarah's moment, tearing this family apart. You've always been selfish, Claire." Sarah nodded, her smirk growing. I couldn't take it anymore. "Get out," I said, pointing to the door. "Both of you. You're not welcome at the wedding." Mom's mouth fell open, but Sarah just laughed like it was a game. "You'll regret this," she said, her eyes glinting with malice. I held the door open, my heart pounding. "If you're ashamed of me, that's your problem," I said. "I only want people who love and support us there. You're not those people." Mom's face twisted, but she didn't argue. Sarah tossed her hair and stormed out, Mom trailing behind. I slammed the door, my hands trembling. Emily came up behind me, her arms wrapping around my waist. "You okay?" she whispered. I nodded, but tears stung my eyes. Kicking them out felt final, like cutting away a piece of my past. I sat on the couch, my head in my hands. The threats, the lies, now this my own family trying to shame me into canceling my wedding. But Emily's voice broke through. "We're doing this, Claire," she said, her eyes fierce. "No one's taking our day." I took a deep breath, her strength grounding me. We'd hired extra security for the vineyard in Napa Valley. We were ready, but as I lay in bed that night, a chill ran through me. Sarah's laugh, her threat, "You'll regret this," echoed in my mind. I didn't know what she'd try next, but I wasn't backing down. The wedding day arrived, and Napa Valley's vineyard sparkled under the California sun. Emily and I stood hand in hand, nervous but thrilled. Security patrolled the grounds, ensuring no one crashed our moment. Our closest friends, some supportive cousins, and our chosen family filled the seats, their smiles warm warm and genuine. I wore a simple white dress, Emily in a tailored suit, her eyes shining as we exchanged vows. For those hours, the drama faded. It was just us, our love, and the life we were building. The crowd cheered, and my heart soared. It was perfect. But during the reception, my cousin Katie pulled me aside, her face tense. "Claire, you need to see this," she said, handing me her phone. My stomach dropped as I saw a live video Sarah had posted that morning. She wasn't at a vineyard. She was at a Seattle courthouse in a cheap white dress, marrying Jake. My jaw hit the floor. Sarah had eloped? All her scheming, the lies, the threats, she never even wanted the vineyard. She just wanted to ruin my day. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. Sarah was laughing in the video, acting like she'd won. But it hit me she'd orchestrated this whole mess to sabotage me, not to get the venue. I handed the phone back to Katie, my mind reeling. "She didn't care about Napa," I whispered. "She just wanted to hurt me." Katie nodded, her eyes sad. "I'm sorry, Claire. I thought you should know." I thanked her, my heart heavy but resolute. Emily caught my eye across the room, her smile grounding me. I walked back to her, determined not to let Sarah's pettiness ruin our joy. We danced under the string lights, the music drowning out the sting of her betrayal. Sarah's plan had failed. Our day was ours, surrounded by love, not hate. But as I held Emily close, a fire burned in me. Sarah's stunt wasn't just a prank, it was a calculated attack. I wasn't sure what I'd do next, but I knew one thing: she'd never control me again. Sarah's courthouse wedding was a flop. She tried throwing a last-minute reception at Mom and Dad's house in Portland, but barely anyone showed up. Even our extended family, who'd fallen for her lies at first, saw through her drama. My cousin Katie texted me later, saying Sarah spent the night whining about how I'd stolen her spotlight. I almost laughed. She'd spent weeks trying to sabotage my wedding, only to crash and burn with her own. It was poetic in a way, but it didn't erase the hurt. A few months later, I cut off contact with Sarah, Mom, and Dad. They still tried reaching out, leaving voicemails about how I was overreacting or tearing the family apart. Mom even texted, "You're being so unfair to Sarah." I deleted every message. Their words didn't matter anymore. They'd chosen Sarah's lies and their own biases over me, over my love for Emily. That was their loss, not mine. I wasn't going to let their toxicity poison my life any longer. Emily and I moved forward, building our home in Seattle. We hung photos from our wedding day, yes, laughing under the Napa Valley stars, our friends cheering, the vineyard glowing behind us. Those moments reminded me what really mattered. We surrounded ourselves with people who lifted us up, friends, chosen family, even a few cousins like Katie who'd stood by us. Our life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, filled with love and honesty. Looking back, I don't regret uninviting Sarah or my parents. They showed me who they really were, and I chose to protect my peace. Emily and I are happier than ever, planning our future, a house, maybe a dog, all the little dreams we share. Sarah's still out there, probably spinning new stories, but I'm done caring. I learned my worth, and it's not tied to their approval. Was I wrong to cut them out? Maybe some would say so, but standing up for my life with Emily was the best choice I ever made.